I was a part of the type of church where you go down and you confess Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. It had happened way before that. And as an Orthodox Christian, salvation isn't about a prayer that you say one day on a given day at a certain time. It's about your walk with Christ. So I would say it would be my aunt.
For me, I'd say it's my mother. And it was just really more of her example in life. We had the household where everybody, uncles, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, great-great-grandmothers, they all lived with us at some point. We actually had this conversation in the car ride over this morning with Father Thomas. I mean, my grandmother, she passed in my house. My great-grandmother passed in my house. My great-great-grandmother passed in my house because my mom would not let them go live in a nursing home. She wanted them to be with family. I have a younger adopted brother because his mom was on drugs, his dad was in jail, but he's actually a cousin of mine, but she didn't want him to grow up in the foster system, so she brought him in. We've had everybody, like I said, stay in our house, and she would wake up in the mornings, read her daily devotional, daily bread, and all those things at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, yet, just living that example of what it means to be a Christian. When I became Orthodox, she probably has no real idea of what the church has to offer. We've talked about it, but to her, it's like, as long as I'm a Christian, that's all she cares about. And so she's the example for me.
I actually have something very similar to say. The person for me is also my mother. And the best way I can describe my mother is that she does everything that she talks about and tries to influence me to do, even still to this day, over the age of 30. And one of the things that solidified for me that she was the real deal was the first time she came to an Orthodox church and how much joy she had when she saw it and was able to be a part of it.
I would definitely say her mother as well. I mean, even though it's only been a few years, in my family, I really don't have many females that have a ton of spiritual influence. If I were to say anything, unfortunately, I would say my grandmother on my mom's side. And I'd say that because she was an immigrant to our country from Slovakia, and she came just after kind of the breakup of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And I say that because essentially that whole area of the world became the Soviet Union, right? And they came and became overwhelmingly secular when they came here. They were Roman Catholics. They did everything by the book, but they were totally secular. They were that because that's what they were born, and they didn't really care. And my grandmother couldn't explain almost anything about her growing up or about any of her context of why she did anything based off of her faith. It was just where she was. She was lost. And I kind of saw that with my mom, and I saw my dad's side, who was the Anglican tradition, and they had context. They had context for why they did all the things they did religiously. So kind of indirectly, she kind of scared me, honestly, and it let me in. And I see Sabrina's mom, and more than anything, the spiritual ancestry. She has a grandfather who is basically like the spiritual patriarch for their family, and the way she talks about him is exactly how people talk about the saints. From their experiences, they saw the face of God, that kind of thing. That's a huge influence on us still.
How are we doing on time?
About 3:25.
5 minutes. This will be the last question. How should we approach outreach efforts, both evangelistic and philanthropic, in an authentic and racially conscious way?
30 seconds. Okay, I can be short. Be a friend to the person you're trying to reach out to, and the light of Christ will show one way or the other.
That was about time for me to gather
said 5 minutes. So
Evangelistically, I believe that it starts with the Saint Seraphim of Saram, if I get this inner peace within me, then it would spread to everybody else around me. I think that's what. And I think that's the only thing that I can do. I can have this mindset that I want to save the world. I'm gonna go into the inner cities and serve the people. But that's not what Orthodox Christianity is about. It's about I must incarnate Christ, and then I must put myself in opportunities to share and be and to interact and through dialogue and conversation and allow people to serve me and myself serve other people. And I think and then that big word, philanthropically. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I mean, what, giving people money?
Yeah. You got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So, and I think giving there's Orthodox Christian organizations, including Brotherhood of St. Moses of Black, that's trying to reach out to communities of color, and I think there's many opportunities to give good causes. So, thanks.
You took some of my time, so I'm just gonna say be like my aunt was with me. Just walk my walk and pray for people, and let God show me what needs to be done beyond that, which probably isn't much, but embody Christ and let that radiate to other people.
I think what everybody has already said is true, and I will just sum it up in a sense of be a martyr, in the sense of don't be afraid to lose yourself in the love for somebody else. As John was saying, be a friend. But what a friendship doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes a struggle. It takes some heartache, some fights. And then eventually coming to grips with that it's okay to have some differences, but embrace those differences and don't be afraid to lose yourself within finding those differences.
I think the key is, one, to be genuine, and secondly, to treat every interaction with a person as a personal interaction, not as a part of somebody who is a part of the group.
Of course, say similar things. I think exactly what you said. I often will say compassion, and we say compassion, and a lot of times what we mean is sympathy. But compassion is actually co-suffering, right? It's taking theirs as your own, right? And that's the martyrdom Anthony's talking about. I think one of the things we do is we treat people as a problem, right? Even if we like them, right? We treat them as like, I got to do this.